and welcome to this month's Fintech Firebrand. I'm Virginie O'Shea, founder of Firebrand Research, and I'm here to chat to you about this month's Fintech and FinReg news. Now, it's been a little bit slow on the FinReg front this month. There hasn't been a tremendous amount of progress, although we have seen some interesting discussions. The last of the Securities and Exchange Commission's roundtables on crypto happened this month. The last for now, I should say, much like Homer in that famous meme. But we saw some interesting discussions there. The new chair of the SEC, Paul Atkins, was talking about helping to fulfill the ambition for America to become the crypto capital of the planet, as dubbed by President Trump. So the focus of the SEC there is adding some exemptions for what it calls innovation with on-chain technologies. So expect more experimentation with regards to blockchain in the country over the next year or so, possibly longer. And there's been a really big push around sort of stablecoin discussions and tokenization. So some very interesting experimentation been going on there. We saw the DTCC last month do its own collateral experiment, and we expect many more of the banks to be very public about what they're doing with regards to some of those experiments that they've been working on for a little while. So definitely one to watch in the US with regards to crypto and stablecoins. Now, there's been a lot of discussion within the regulatory community over the last couple of years about operational resilience. We've seen the Digital Operational Resilience Act in Europe, and we've seen a lot of proposals with regards to cybersecurity. Interestingly enough, it wasn't the regulators this month that have been making discussions or making points around cybersecurity. We've actually seen the industry coming to the regulators themselves about their own cybersecurity practices and holding the agencies themselves to account with regards to data protection. Now, SIFMA and a group of other associations sent a letter this month to the regulators to tell them that they need to have the same security and data protection standards as private companies, such as banks. They also need to be very careful with sensitive data and handling sensitive data, all very sensible. This is all the things that the banks are being asked to do themselves. Making sure that access to data is restricted to those that should have access, permissioning to be in place. And there's also a big push around notifications. Now, obviously, we need cybersecurity notifications under DORA, but the regulators themselves should be reporting those to the industry, according to the letter that was sent by SIFMA. So interesting to see it sort of flipped on its head. What the response of the regulators will be interesting. There's also been sort of a related push to limit the amount of data that's being reported to regulators, just in case that gets leaked and it's sensitive information. So I don't know if they'll get very far with that particular push or that angle, but certainly holding regulators to the same standards that they hold banks and other institutions is certainly very important. And I guess my final thoughts for the month and the longest bit of this will be me talking about Firebrand's recent research on T+1. Now, there's been a lot of T+1 news over the last couple of months with regards to securities financing being taken out of the move. So in the EU, there was confirmation that the securities financing, much like in the UK, will not be part of the move to T+1. There was also been some discussion in the industry and support from the regulators, such as the FCA, about shortening fund settlement cycles from T+3 or T+4 down to T+2, sorry, as part of the changes as well. So lots of industry discussions going on. There's been the first draft of the recommendations by the EU group or the committee for T+1 is going through the process at the moment, will be published at the end of this month. We published our research, as I mentioned, in partnership with the DTCC, Euroclear and Clearstream, the three largest CSDs in the world. And we spent several months talking to different teams around the globe, largely in Europe, about their experiences with North American T+1, things that they learned during that process, and some of the things that they could apply to Europe, but also what other risk hotspots there are with regards to T+1 in the European region. Now, obviously other markets are moving. We're looking at seeing Australia move in 2030 or after 2030 once they've finished their market infrastructure program. We're seeing a lot of moves in other Asian jurisdictions as well. Hong Kong has indicated it should be able to support T+1 this year from a market infrastructure standpoint, even if there's not a mandatory move. So certainly a lot of other markets are looking to what happened in the US and Europe as well. So very timely release of our report. Some of the things that we noticed from discussions with people, a lot of firms are sort of waiting to see the full recommendations before they do anything. So there's a lot of wait and see attitudes going on out there, much more than you would realize, given some of the industry stats I've seen. I don't think they're very accurate. I think there's a lot of firms that are currently waiting and seeing, unfortunately, and they really should get a move on. There's certainly a lot of material to read through in the UK that should be helpful from the Accelerated Settlement Task Force. We're also seeing a lack of budgeting going on. We put some numbers together based on discussions about how much we think it's actually going to cost. And they range from the smallest buy-side firm at $223,000 up to 36 million on the largest global custodians. So certainly big range of numbers there with regards to budgets. And the reason that they're so far apart is that lots of firms have different setups. They may have to invest in technology. They may have to be reaching out to clients. And we really did see the industry spend a lot of time on T+1 in North America. And many didn't track it as well as they could have done. But when you work out exactly how many different individuals from across the business and from operations and technology were working on those projects for how the length of time they had to be working on them, albeit some of them were in concert with wider transformation programs, but not always. So certainly a lot of time and efforts went into preparing. Some of the learnings that we saw from North American T+1 was there was not enough focus on things outside of trade affirmation confirmation processes. Maybe firms didn't put enough resources to looking at the FX impacts, maybe not looking at cash management and liquidity, maybe not focusing enough on the fund settlement impacts initially. So a lot of learnings that I think we picked out 9 top learnings that you could see from the US move, not least of which was the governance and the education and information stages of the move being very important. Now, a lot of firms were late to the table when it came to preparing, as hopefully we will not see again in the European side of things. 2027 sounds like it's a very long way off. It really isn't in reality, and there are a lot of things that you need to think about from a product, process, people, technology standpoint. There are so many different variables there, from asset servicing impacts through to, as I mentioned, cash management and FX. Even your collateral and securities financing operations need to be reviewed in light of timing changes. Now, there are a lot of uncertainties. Greatest concern from the industry seems to be about misalignment in the end, and the implementation not going as smoothly as people would hope it would, given we've got so many different markets moving at the same time, and it is a lot more complicated and a lot more preparation needs to be done versus T+2 back in 2014. So it looks like it may be slightly more time pressured, and lots of different market infrastructures are working on their technology upgrades at the moment. So that is a big concern. And also there needs to be more transparency from both market infrastructures and regulators about how they're going to help their markets prepare for T+1. So lots of question marks still out there. Certainly, we hope our report is as useful as possible. It's freely available to download. You can probably look at my LinkedIn profile and find a download button there to direct you to it. Likewise, you can find that if you drop me an email. But certainly love to hear some feedback for the market. It's been very positive so far in terms of the people that participated and what they found in the research. So certainly very pleased to see that. But please do get in touch.